Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the second day of the SBC Digital Summit. It's an honor and it's a pleasure to be here, but it's also a bit special standing here and talking to you but not seeing you. Normally when you have a presentation like this, you see the audience, and if you say something funny, it actually might be that some of you are laughing, you get some feedback from that. Right now it's just me and the cameraman, and honestly, I haven't even got that guy smiling yet. So it's a bit special for me, but nevertheless, welcome. For you who don't know me, my name is Jesper Kärrbrink. I spent the last 30 years leading and managing companies in the media industry, e-commerce, and gaming. Talking about gaming, I've been the CEO of Svenska Spel and Mr. Green Limited. And today, I am the co-founder and the chairman of Jade Games. Jade Games is a new game developer. We're making a new breed of games where we mix RNG and skill. I'm also the chairman in Powerplay, Internet Vikings, and Sego. So all in all, 4 gaming companies. This gives me pretty good insight in what's happened right now in the industry. But we're not here to talk about those companies. We're definitely not here to talk about me. We are here to talk about leadership in C times. And with C times, I of course mean Corona times or COVID-19 times. But we could also talk about this being crazy times. Because what we see now is something that I would say everyone in this room or in this digital room, we haven't experienced this before. It's something totally new, and it has taken us with a huge surprise, basically in a lot of extents actually shocked us. And WHO has declared this a pandemic. The coronavirus is a pandemic, but it's also an infodemic. These two things has created an unprecedented situation for us. We have a lockdown, we have social distancing, we have closed borders, there are no sport events whatsoever, basically. There's no traveling, we have work from home, we have countries where people have been locked in basically in their apartments for the last 40 days. This could have come out of a Hollywood movie a year ago, and we would say, wow, look at that one. This is reality. So in some sense, it's a bit crazy times. The big question that we all are asking us right now is, where is this heading? I think, if you look at this from a broader perspective, we are going from healthcare to wealth care. Wave number 1 is, of course, about save as many lives as possible. And here I really want to reach out to all these fantastic doctors and nurses and ambulance drivers, etc., working around the clock in war zone-like conditions to really helping all the sick people. We know that they are fighting in a way that they haven't been fighting before, and they do it successfully in country by country by country. Wave 2 will be about save as many jobs as possible, because we see that this crisis will have a huge impact on the world economy. Hopefully, I doubt it, but hopefully politicians and bankers will work as focused and committed as doctors and nurses. But once again, I'm not sure about that. So, where is iGaming in all this? That's a question that we have to ask ourselves. What is happening with this industry? How are we affected? You know this, of course, because you're sitting in it right now. First of all, I think we could say that we have been on the lucky side of this. If we look at this, we are a young industry. We also having a lot of young employees. I think we have, or from my perspective, we have very few people being in the risk zone. So if you compare with the society and in large, the rate of people being severely sick in this is much, much lower. I also think that the mortality rates are lower. So from that sense, we are coming out this quite okay, I think. But even if you look at this from a business perspective, we are digital entertainment. And being digital entertainment is probably the place where you should be these days. And yes, of course, if I'm running a sports book, tough. There are no games played out there. There are few objects to bet on, etc., etc. But if you look at this from the casino side and the casino perspective, we are actually doing extremely well. I spoke to my sister yesterday. Well, I speak to her a lot, but I spoke to her yesterday as well. And she's the director of a pretty large hotel in Stockholm. When this hit, I called her and asked her, wow, Lisa, are you in crisis meeting all day? And she said, no, Jesper, no, we're not in crisis meeting. We are beyond crisis. I mean, they went from an 85% occupancy rate to today 10. When I called her yesterday, she said, wow, I had a good day yesterday. We had 10% occupancy, 10%. So looking at that one, we are coming out pretty well and pretty good. We can just look at what Therese Hillman stated in the last reporting. We see that, and NetEnt, and I think Martin Carlsson basically said the same in his report last week, that they have really not been, business has been basically not affected at all by the corona. And bring this with us, because it's not every industry that has this luck, so to speak. Looking at this OECD report, we have industries that is just falling down. I mean, traveling industry, as I said before, hotel industry. I have friends running restaurants, and this is in Sweden, where we have had a pretty liberal view on closing and lockdowns. They have tough times. And then can you imagine a restaurant in Spain or in Paris or London or New York today? That is tough. So I would say that as an industry, we're coming out pretty well from this one. But, and this is very, very important to remember, this also comes with a responsibility. We see, or we know, we are scrutinized, so we know that there's always people looking at this industry. And I would say that today is probably the most important time to put responsible gaming on top of the agenda. We saw what happened in Latvia. They temporarily banned all the gaming licenses. We've seen the measurement in Belgium, in Portugal. Last week, the Swedish government came out with enforced regulation on deposit levels. This is happening because we are, and the more money we make, the more profitable we are, the more we're growing, the easier it will be for them to implement restrictions like this. So once again, this is a perfect opportunity to put responsible gaming on top of the agenda, to show that we care, to show that we take our responsibility. The responsibility that we, to some point back a couple of years, missed and kind of put us in this situation. So that's very, very important. And another reflection I'm doing from my view is that the iGaming industry has shown an amazing ability to adapt. It's so cool to see how entire customer service operations, just in a week's time, moved from closed office to home officing. Like 60, 70, 80 customer service agents and managers, woof, just distributed their workplaces without a glitch. That's amazing. I see game release schedules kept on the minute, even if the entire staff is basically working from home. We see product launches and product development just continue as before. And this says something about this industry that kind of, it doesn't surprise me, but it also shows that this is a very agile industry with a lot of talented people used to taking fast decisions. And this is something you should be really, really proud of, because there are a lot of industries, speaking to friends, they have not coped with this in the same way. So that's a very positive thing. Once again, back to the helicopter view, looking at this one. There are some negative sides, of course, with this. There's plenty of negative sides. We have a pandemic. We have people dying. We have people being seriously sick. We have an economy just on the brink of collapsing. We have SMEs and large companies actually going bankrupt as we speak. We will have unemployment rates that we haven't had in a long time. So there's a lot to worry about, of course. But I would say there's also some positive things coming into this. And when things are tough, when the shit hits the fan, it's time to look at also to try to see the positive things and see what we can bring with us coming out of this. Because we and the entire society will come out of this, of course. And I listed some of the things that I think is positive. And I know that when you see this, some of you just hate me because I say that work from home is positive. I know being home with home teaching 4 kids. My colleague, Ben McDonough, he has 4 kids at home in pre and school age. He's not that fond of working from home, of course. And I know a lot of you share this with him. But if you look at this on a broader perspective and actually see in the future where the kids are back to school, and I can take myself and my wife as an example, having adult kids and basically sorting ourselves. For me, this has been amazing. My efficiency has just peaked, and my work-life balance has improved. And actually, I read this article in Financial Times. It's quite fun. They made a survey, 900 women in Texas for some reason, and they asked them to list the daily pleasures and the daily hate objects. And position number 1, sex. And the last position, undoubtedly the last position, was commuting to work. And working from home, I'm not sure they got more sex, but they definitely don't need to commute to work anymore. So taking that joke aside, I think there will be a lot of good things coming out from this one. We see how, as I said before, efficiency is increasing. We also see how work balance is improving. Another thing, and this is more of a philosophical statement, but I think we care more. I think we, as individuals, we are more concerned about the people around us. We are taking more care. We are being more careful. We are considering that I could actually harm another people by being in the same room. And I'm thinking about how I'm behaving in a way that we haven't done before. We slow down a bit, and I think that's actually good for us. And if we can balance this with keeping the efficiency in work, caring a bit more, and getting a balance in health, in balance in life work, this can come out as something really, really good. And caring is perhaps one of the most important things we can do. So I'm glad that we see this. Another area where we see improvements is new technologies. I am doing this now. I'm having this conference via video in an amazing platform that SBC is using. And this is just a small example. We see how telemedicine is just exploding and growing. We see how video conferencing is exploding and growing. And people are, this is new. Not all of these techniques are new, but they are embraced in a way that we haven't seen before. And I think this will come out as a positive thing. One of the things I won't miss, and one of the things I will see change, is that Thursday meeting in London. From Malta, you take that 6 o'clock flight. You commute from Heathrow into City. You have a 2 hours meeting, and then you commute back, and then you take the 8:40 flight. It's basically the same time whether you fly from Malta or Stockholm or whatever for a 2-hour meeting. And no one's gonna do that anymore. We're gonna hook up via Teams or Skype or whatever, and we're just gonna handle this meeting because we got so used to it. So there's a lot of good things coming out of this one. The environment, we see it already. And for me, spending a lot of times trying to figure out how I could help the environment, we did the Clean Ocean with Mr. Green, trying to do different initiatives, the same here now when I'm in Sweden. And we see, and for me this gives some hope. I mean, the environment, the earth will always survive. It's more a matter of how we as a mankind can adapt to the changes we see right now. But also seeing how fast Mother Earth is kind of repairing and coming back to a bit more normal state just by this short period gives me some confidence that yes, we can solve this. We will find technologies, we will find new ways of living to actually help the environment. So I think that's a positive thing coming out of this one, seeing the proof to see that it's possible. And this is something we have to remember when this is over. And then back to leadership in crazy times or sea times. I would say that the largest challenge in leadership is always to find the balance. Find the balance between investing and saving, finding the balance between pushing and holding back a bit, finding the balance between driving your workforce very, very hard and still having them to enjoy their life, etc., etc. This is, and now it's a new way of finding the balance. And I think the largest challenge is actually managing, leading people, seeing people without seeing them. My leadership style had always been to be very present. Walk around, speak to people, listen to people, engage in discussions, give a high five to someone you know had done a fantastic job, be there, sitting in the middle of everyone. And how do you see people without seeing them? How can you be present without being present? Walking by someone's desk and just say, hi, I heard about the record numbers on this and this and this. Fantastic. That's easy to say. But calling that employee that is not your direct reporting, in your direct reporting line, that's a bit more intrusive. And the CEO is calling and you need to make a bit more of a discussion, etc., etc. So this is a challenge. For me, it's been a challenge. And for you, leading larger groups of 20 people, or even being CEOs having hundreds of people or thousands of people, this is a challenge, and we know that, and this is something we have to adapt to. And I think it's been a bit too short time, so we have not really lost ourselves in this. But if this continues for a long time, that will be a large challenge. And in this, communication is key. Communication has always been key, but how do you change walking by an office or walking by a desk and just say a couple of words? And I think sending out emails and text and Slack channels and WhatsApp, etc., etc., it has exploded. And that's good. It's a very swift and fast way to do these small nudges and things like that. But I also think that we need communication like this. Leaders need to stand up and speak to their employees and congratulate them. And so I just a reminder, communication is key. Don't forget that. I think it's actually better at this point to over-communicate than under-communicate. And testing new ways. Dare to do this. I'm standing here today having a presentation for a couple of hundred people. I know that SBC sold 4,000 tickets. So let's assume that there's 100 people out there now actually looking into and watching this presentation. Fantastic. It's a new way. I haven't done it before. I missed the energy from the audience. Once again, I'm getting no from the cameraman. It's not his fault. And testing new ways. My wife, last Friday, they had Friday beer via Zoom. And I kind of, come on, how fun can that be? But of course, I sneaked in there. And it was a proper Friday beer. People were sitting there having the beer, chatting, talking about how the week had been, talking about a job, talking about life, talking about the weekend to come, etc., etc. They just gathered together. They had a virtual Friday beer, and it worked. That's just an example. I know that we have people, I have friends having virtual lunches. So they actually have a lunch meeting. I have my lunch in Stockholm, you have your lunch in Malta. And we chat over the phone and we eat and we have this discussion and I pay the lunch. I revolute you the money. It's working, it's amazing. So dare to try new ways. This is an opportunity. And no one will accuse you for trying a wrong thing. And I don't think so, because this is unprecedented times. This is when you should try new things. This is where the ordinary leadership is not working. When the ordinary leadership is not working, dare to try new things. And then the big question, a bit of a philosophical question is this the beginning of a new way of working? Yes, I think so. I really think so. If we look at this one, I think we will find new office structures. Why have this expensive office for 200 people when I know that for most of them, 1 day or 2 days and working from home would work perfectly. It will probably increase efficiency. It will improve the work-life balance. We have also given more responsibility to our employees. Working from home means that you have to take more responsibility. But as a manager, you also have to give more responsibility. There are studies showing that the efficiency has peaked dramatically because at home you go from breakfast to work. You don't go from breakfast to commuting, to chatting with colleagues, to getting your coffee, and then 45 minutes later you actually turn on your computer. It's from breakfast to turning on your computer. And I've spoken to so many people being without kids home saying that I'm done by 3 o'clock in the afternoon because everything is so structured. I have my video call, I call them, it's 45 minutes, bang, then I go back to work, etc., etc. So we are more efficient and this will show. As I said before, it's less traveling. Doing that 2-hour first day in November meeting in London, it ain't gonna happen. I'm not saying we shouldn't meet. I'm not saying that we should close offices. Absolutely not. But I think we will find a sounder balance in this. I don't want to count the number of days when I traveled 1 day, had a day of full meetings, and then traveled another day. Of these days with full meetings, perhaps 2 were crucial. That's like 3 days of being away from home, being away from being efficient, being in airplanes, commuting back and forth to airports, etc., etc. I think we will learn from this. I think we will be more efficient. We will find and improve work-life balance into this. And it's our responsibility as managers and leaders to embrace this change, to make sure that we take the positive part of this crisis with us in the post-crisis era. We need to see how we can improve and learn from this. And I think there's a lot of learnings into this. And as I said before, if it's one industry I really believe in adapting to this, it's the iGaming industry. And with that, thank you.